Hey, welcome everybody. This is Cam Roland. We are going live here. This is 1 o'clock Central Time in mid Canada. And I see we got someone jumping on from Regina. That's awesome. Welcome, Jacques. And yeah, I'm excited about today because the whole idea of finding and securing investors has been such a pivotal part of my business, my personal growth, growing the business, helping other people gain their financial goals as well. And so, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun talking about this because it's really quite practical and really quite easy. So, yeah, if you've got questions throughout this, feel free to dump them into the comment section. Know that there's a delay of about 2 minutes or so from when they come in, and yeah. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through from a very practical level how to find and secure investors. And so I'll walk you through that. We'll have some time for some very specific questions from you, if you've got any. Maybe you don't. Maybe you've got some insights as well. You probably have done this yourself and have got some insights for all of us as well. That would be awesome. And then at the end, I'm going to do my piece on uh, stories from the trenches, telling about real life stories in my real estate investing journey. So that's always kind of a very interesting piece for me because I've been doing this full time for 11 years now, total of let's see here, 15, 16 years. And so lots of different experiences, lots of failures, lots of victories, and I've learned a ton from them. And there's some really interesting stories of people working with investors, tenants, homeowners, crazy stuff and exciting stuff and all the above. So, all right, good to see Peter and as well as Lena on here as well. So, what I want to do is jump in now and I'm going to paint a picture of what it means to find and secure investors. So, I'm basing this off of a funnel that I use. Now, this funnel, I didn't know I had it at the beginning. I really only created it afterwards. And, lots of people have different funnels. I've crafted this one. A funnel, if you're not familiar with a funnel, is, if you're doing sales, just let's just talk about sales for a second. You think of a funnel, right? The funnel goes like this and down like that. So the top of the funnel is the widest part. That's where you have the most interactions and often very surfacey touch points. And maybe it's not even you. Maybe it's an ad or a post you put on a social media account, that sort of stuff. But it gets attraction to people. And then the idea is, if that's 1,000 people, then the next layer of the funnel is like it might be 500, it might be 300, it might be 100, whatever. The idea is you want to get people through the funnel, and the funnel, as it gets closer to the base of the cone, is more narrow, which means less people. And then ultimately you want to get the key people through the funnel. So that's what a funnel is, in case if that's a new idea for you. So for me, when I'm thinking about finding investors in the first place, I think about the top level funnel. And in my funnel, I talk specifically about your elevator pitch, right? And just getting people's attention. And so for those of you who have been in sales, or I mean, honestly, everyone is in sales. Doesn't matter if your job description says sales or not. We're all in sales. And do you agree with me? Disagree? I changed my mind, but we are all in sales. So whether or not you're trying to convince your friend to go to a certain restaurant or go to a certain sports event, right? I know all of you watching this love the Winnipeg Jets. And so there's no, I don't have to do anything to convince you of that. But if I want you to watch my Jets, I'm going to tell you the benefits and the features of that. And hopefully, I rub off on you in such a way that I convince you, I make the sale that you come and watch it with me. And so, whether or not it's that or, you know, uh, what do you want for supper? Well, I want this, I want that. Who's a better salesperson? Who can close that deal? You know who some of the best salespeople are? Um, you might not know this, but they're everywhere. They're infiltrating our countries. Each day they come in bounds. We were all them at one point. Children. Children are the best salespeople ever. So I've got three kids of my own, and I've got a grandson, and that's new. But with my three boys, those guys were relentless when they wanted something. They would not let up. They'd keep coming back, and they keep asking, "Can I? Can I? Can I?" And then they tell me the reasons why. If I said, "Well, let me think about it," or, you know, I would start asking them, "Well, tell me what the benefits are. Like, why should I buy this for you? Why should I let you do that?" Kids are relentless. And so kids are able to keep going time after time after time after again. And often don't really feel the pain of giving up, right? They just kind of keep on going. And that's really where we need to be today as adults with our sales, is that we need to be relentless and keep going at it until we get an answer. And through that process, we may not get exactly what we want, but we've learned a lot through it, right? So in my funnel, I talk about the elevator pitch, and basically that is a very short piece of information that gets someone's attention, right? So we've all experienced salespeople who are annoying. It may be a friend, it may be a neighbor, maybe someone we don't know. And oftentimes people will go straight to thinking that, to be a salesperson, you got to be like the salesperson that you most annoy. I don't know why that is, but when I talk to people about being a salesperson, their mind automatically goes to one of their worst experiences that they've had with someone trying to sell to them. Very annoying, aggressive, any number of things. And often, unfortunately, used car salesmen get lauded into that group of people. Now, I've had good experience with used car salespeople, but so there are many different types of salespeople, and I've talked about this before. Blair Singer, who's one of the Rich Dad advisors, got a great book and a free tool called Sales Dogs. If you Google Blair Singer, just how it sounds, and Sales Dogs, he's got a free tool, and there's basically five different types of dogs that are salespeople, and that's what we are, right? And some of us are pit bulls, some of us are golden retrievers, some are chihuahuas. You know, you get the idea. We all have different styles. But when we think about the worst case scenario of salesperson that we think of, we shy away from it. And yet, even when we're starting to do it, we may tend to do exactly what we don't want to do when we're trying to pitch to someone to buy from us, whatever that is. So obviously today we're talking about investors. And so the basis of an elevator pitch is you've got only a moment to catch someone's attention without being annoying and without turning them off. Ultimately, you want them in their mind thinking, interesting, I want to hear more. So the goal for me of any elevator pitch is to get a coffee, that we meet at a different time, and you get a coffee, whatever drink you want to be. I'm a coffee guy, so that's very natural for me, right? So for example, I'll give you two different scenarios. um, I'm at Costco, and I see a friend that I haven't seen for 3 years, and that friend asked me, "Hey, how's it going? What's it doing? What have you been doing?" "Hey, great, Ron. I'm doing really good. I've been real estate investing, and it's been so good. I've been helping people get into home ownership, and I've been doing flips and all this sort of stuff. And I've got investors, and my investors, I love it because they get really good returns, and their money's secured by rental properties. And I'm on a project right now where I'm looking for an investor. I need about 100 grand, and this project, what I need is, I need to buy wood. It's really expensive, and I got to get a good contract with my last contractor. Totally sucked, but whatever. That's kind of beside the point. And yeah, so I'm looking for an investor to do this because I got to redo the kitchen and stuff, and stuff's really backed up at IKEA right now. So that sucks. But yeah, so I'm looking for $100,000, and would you be interested in investing with me? It pays really good returns. It's like 10 or 12%, and all right, let me pause there. So I don't know if you noticed some of the things in there. One, I was long-winded. Two, I went into way too much detail. Three, I was putting Ron in a pressurized situation where I was asking him directly for a sale on the spot. Now, how many has experienced this, either received it or have given it, right? Probably all of us. And Ron's in a really tough spot now because all he did was he said hi. He's probably in a rush. He may not even meant how's it going. He maybe just meant to say hi, great to see you. I got to run. But now I've taken up, 2 minutes of his time, and he doesn't know what exactly my focus is because I've talked about all these different things. Sure, it all had to do with real estate, but it was right? All these different things. Are they all true? Yeah, wood's expensive. IKEA's backed up. Uh, I've had experience with a bad contractor. Doesn't mean I need to air my dirty laundry, right? So that didn't go very well. Ron was like, "Yeah, you know what? My son's in the car. I gotta go. So nice seeing you." Right. So that's Ron. So that's example A, which is a bad example. So example B, it's going to be Ron again, and Ron's going to say, "Hey, how's it going, Cam? Good to see you." Hey, great. He's asked me what I've been up to, and it's like, yeah, I've been doing some real estate investing. I've been helping families get into home ownership, and it's super cool. And I'm partnering with investors who love it because it's a hands-free turnkey investment for them. They're getting great returns, and yeah, it's just going really well. In fact, uh, Ron, would you know of anybody who might be interested in getting decent returns secured by real estate? Stop. Right. So what have I done there? Some very similar information, but a lot more condensed. I painted a picture that I'm helping families get into home ownership, and I'm using investors to partner with them to make the deals happen. Investors are happy because they're getting great returns secured by real estate. Okay, so that's pretty easy to remember. I haven't thrown a ton of stuff at them. And then I did the ask, but I didn't ask him directly, right? I totally opened up the door for him to go, no, I don't know of anybody, right? And that's a very polite way. It's likely true for a lot of people that they don't know anybody. And if they're not interested, I haven't put them in a spot where they have to say yes or no or get out of an awkward situation, right? So I've opened the door that I'm looking for investors. And who do you know? So if he is interested, in his mind, he'll go, that sounds interesting. Um, I might know of someone, but I might be interested in that. Can you tell me more? Yeah, for sure. Let's book a time for coffee, right? You want to break that spot right there and meet up another time. And that's where you're starting to weed out people, right? Because sometimes people will just say that because they want to keep the conversation going right then and there. But people who are serious will make another appointment with you. So that scenario, that type of elevator pitch has been super awesome for me. It has got me, I don't know, I mean, a lot of investors. And at the end of this live, I'll do my stories from the trenches, and I'll talk about an experience with a couple investors that I had that was really powerful. But that whole thing is just a really great way to capture someone's attention. Now, oftentimes nothing happens from that, but you've planted a seed. You planted a seed in their mind that may never do anything or may come back to fruition a month, a week, years later, who knows? I mean, I've had investors who we talked to, and 3 years passed, and I get an email, and they're like, Yeah, do you remember we talked like 3 years ago? Been watching your progress and stuff like that. I think we're ready to invest. Like that's happened so many times. And so that's ultimately how you find an investor. Just focus in on that elevator pitch idea. That is the best way to find investors. You don't want to be looking for them. So, what I mean by that is, Facebook is a great example for an elevator pitch type scenario where you tell a story of, um, a project that you're working on. And you just are excited about it, whether if it's video or a couple pictures and a story, right? People will read this if they're interested at all. If they're not, they'll just keep on scrolling. And so, what you don't need to do in those scenarios is say, "Is anybody looking to invest?" That's that's kind of a. I mean, it's not a direct ask because it's out in social media cyberspace, but people will start following you. They'll follow your stories. It's amazing how people follow our stories on social media that, we've got no clue because we're just posting. And if you're not on social media, that's fine. This is just a example that has worked well for me and lots of others. But, you know, I'll have a series of stories related to each other over a course of a couple of weeks. And sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not intentional. It's not intentional because I might be just working on a project and I'm just posting stuff, and then I'll see someone in real life and they'll make a comment about that one piece, and you're like, what do you oh right, yes, right. And so people follow you, and what they'll start doing is they'll reach out and they'll ask a vague question like, what are you working on, or tell me more about that, or whatever. And that's a great way to go because when you appear needy, people tend to be repelled. But when you're just telling a story and you're excited about it, people engage with you, right? You wanna create these stories that pull people in. You wanna dialogue with people, open-ended questions to get people thinking and interacting with you, right? And there certainly are times to put out there that you're looking for an investor. So pause right there. We cannot advertise for an investment that we've got. So this is a free advice that's cost me a ton of time, a ton of money, ton of energy that I don't want you to have experience. And so if you advertise on, you know, Craigslist, Kijiji, any platform like that, Facebook, that you've got a property that you're looking for X dollars and you're willing to give X percent, that's technically advertising. We can't do that. You need a securities license to do that. So essentially, what we can do is we can invest with friends and family without a securities license. And so I won't go into a ton of detail, but just don't advertise that you've got investment property. Now, if you're in a private group, that's maybe a little bit different, but I would still be very cautious. So what I do in these situations is I will talk about deals that I'm working on, and I'm not saying I'm looking for an investor, and I'm not saying that I'm going to give X return. I might tell a story of just finish up this property, tell a little bit about it, super pumped to write my investor a check. They're cashed out, they're happy. That's a great story. That gets people's attention. So what happens is someone will reach out and say, that sounds really cool. And if they ask you what sort of return you gave, you can answer that. I typically don't like to do it on the open forum on Facebook, but so what I try to do in those scenarios is I try to drive the conversation to an email where they say, "Yeah, tell me more. Here's my email address." Okay, I'll email them and I'll say, "Hey, great chatting with you. So, just to confirm, you are looking to hear some information on an investment that I'm working on." Yeah. something like that. Like you don't want to, like, you want to drive the point that they reached out to you first. That's what's key here. And so if someone does that, then I say I just confirm from our Facebook post or conversation that you want me to send you some information about one of my real estate projects, right? That's that's really the great way to do it. And then they'll email you back and say, "Yep, send me more information, please." Okay, now you've got their permission. You have not solicited them directly for uh, purpose of investing with you. So it's more a little bit more complicated than that, but that's the basics of it that you need to know. So that's a little bit of free advice for you. So where was I? I was talking about sharing on Facebook and telling stories, and yeah, that's how I find my investors. That's one of the ways. That's one of the ways I do it in a open forum like that. Now, um, the other way that I do it that's not web based is really my elevator pitch, and that's just kind of everywhere I go. So this all started back when I had done my first couple of deals, and I was working at my day job, and I'd come in on the weekend, and you grab a coffee and you're talking with people or coffee break or whatever. And it's like, well, what'd you do this weekend? It's like, oh yeah, well, I was working on this house. I picked up a house. I bought it from a investor who, yada yada yada. Here's my experience. We fixed it up. It's worth. I couldn't believe it. It's like worth $50,000 more since when we bought it, and that was like 4 months ago. So I'm not. I'm just telling about my experience, and I'm excited about it. And it's like, yeah, I interviewed seven different tenants this weekend. Wow, some interesting stories, and it's one great family. I think we're going to be able to help them, and it's like really cool. So I'm just going about my daily stuff, talking about what I'm excited about, which is real estate investing, right? And so that is that in many ways is parallel to the story of a farmer who sows his seeds, right? And he'll spread his seeds over the course of his field, and maybe a couple different fields, and as he's going, some of the seeds will scatter uh, off the field onto gravel, all that sort of stuff, right? So the farmers, it's springtime, which is perfect. Farmers have put their seeds down, and okay, so what happens next, right? Well, they nurture it. They are praying, literally praying for rain, and they want the sun, and they want good conditions, for their seed to germinate and to take root and to grow. And so a brand new farmer who doesn't have a lot of experience will put seed everywhere, right? It's just like, is this soil good? Is this soil good? And what kind of seed is it? All that sort of stuff. Maybe it grows better in a more of a gravelly type soil. Who knows? It depends, right? So you're figuring this out as you go. So the farmer is out there and looking at the seeds, and it's had a couple of good days of rain, and it's 25 degrees, and it's hot, and there's some seeds germinating and sprouting out, and there's some others that, well, these ones popped up really quick, and you keep tending those, right? So it's like, okay, pulling the weeds out, and yeah, so this farmer is tending to the seeds, and some of them shoot up real quick, but then they die, and then others are really slow, but they're coming up good, and others you don't see for a while, and it's like all of a sudden it's like near the end of the growing season, all of a sudden this sucker's popping up, and it's good, right? So he's tending to this plant, whatever it is, or a grain or whatever, and then you harvest it, right? And now you got the fruits of the harvest. And so really this is much like when I'm working with a prospective investor, right? When I'm giving my elevator pitch or just talking about what I'm doing, I'm spreading my investment seed everywhere I go. And I'm not throwing it in people's faces. I'm putting it out in a spot where it's comfortable for them. and it doesn't affect their life negatively, but it could affect it positively. And then I see what happens, right? So in the course of a month, if I spread my investor seed to 20 different people, maybe it's only 5, maybe it's 50, depends on where you're at, whatever. But now I go back over and I think about who have I talked with, and how can I how can I help that seed potentially grow? What could I do? In conversation with some people, what did they ask any questions? Can I follow up with them? It's like, oh yeah, I read that one book. I think Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah, I heard about it, but I've not read it. Maybe I send that to them, or maybe I send them a link to the YouTube version of it, the free audio, whatever. But now I'm cultivating these relationships ultimately to the point where there'll be some that pop up real quick. It's like, oh yes, I got an investor already. It's like, okay, I got a deal for you. Here it is, and then they die off. Right? They're nowhere to be found. Maybe I don't hear from them again. Maybe it's a month, whatever. And then there's other investors that are slow and steady, and they ask more questions, and it's like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. Could we meet again? And so, like I said, I'm not going to go into my whole funnel that I do, but that's how I find them. And then when it comes to, that one investor out of that first batch, or the two or three that pop up and actually do, we're making progress towards doing a deal together. Now I'm cultivating them, and I'm wanting them to, like, I want to land the deal with them. I want to secure them. How do you secure them, right? So I tend to their needs, to their questions. What are they asking, right? Are they asking, well, what are the tax implications of this particular investment? It's like, okay, well, you help them sort through that. Ultimately, they need to talk to their own tax person, but you do what you can and say, you know what, I'm not an expert in this, but here's what I found, or here's a good article on it. So I'm tending to them. I'm answering their questions. I'm being responsive. I'm securing them, right? And so you give attention to something where attention goes, energy flows, and that thing grows, right? So the same here with securing investors. And so ultimately, I secure that investor, make sure they're happy, make sure they understand the deal, help them through it, whether or not they're simply just investing capital, or if they're actually getting a mortgage and capital, or the one or the other. But that's all part of securing them at that point where you're closing the deal. And so on my funnel, it's near the bottom where you get tighter and tighter, more time and more attention is spent. So I know a bunch of you here are in my course. I talk a lot about the funnel, and so you can go there for that. But for those of you who are not and just part of it today, these are just two really important things, right? How to find them, how to secure them, and it's doing exactly what I said about you know uh, spreading that seed everywhere you go. And whether or not you work in a corporate office or you work on the floor of a factory, you're going to be talking with people, and you're going to be able to tell about your experience, right? A number of you have got rental properties and you've had experiences. Some of you are brand new, but you're super stoked about it. These are stories you need to tell, and that's what gets people interested, and what helps you find investors. So going to start to transition here, but before we do that, any questions on anything that I just said? So yeah, put them into the comments section. Oh, there are some questions. I just didn't see it here. Okay, thank you. If you got other questions, keep them coming. Okay, so Lena asks, what about advertising in private investor groups? I do see people doing that? Yeah, I would just say exercise caution. Fortunately, I've had some really good people, along my journey who have helped me guide me in this. Right? You just want to be cautious in terms of giving out too much information. Again, like what I was saying, ultimately drive the conversation to an email, so that you can keep it, and just open the door and just say, hey, just confirming that you want me to send you some information about my project that I'm working on, right? So that's what I would do. Yes, I see lots of people doing it in private groups. Yeah, I would just still exercise caution in that, for sure. I do see people in public open groups doing that. It just makes me cringe. And many times I've reached out to people, just message them and said, "Hey, just be careful, be cautious, because you don't want your local securities commission calling you. That's not a fun experience." So, all right. So, and Jacques says, someone argued with me that they said they want a private lender, and that is okay to do on a Facebook page, and securities commission will be okay with that. Are they right? Um, Someone argued with me that they said they want a private lender. Yeah, I mean, I you could do that for sure, Jacques, and they could do that. Again, any steps you can do to mitigate that risk, the better. And for me, I mean, so what I've done over the years is, because I've been doing this for a long time, I've got a long list of investors now that I can just email directly. I can call directly, I can text directly, because we've got that ongoing relationship, and we've become friends. And some of them are family, some of them are friends, and so I've got that openness with them that I can just keep on the conversation. But it took me a little while to get to that, in the first place. But my story, that I'm going to tell you is going to kind of shed some light on all this. Um, yeah. So yeah, walking a fine line. So all right. With no other questions, let me just take a drink of water here. All right. Stories from the trenches. Yeah. So this is a fun one because it goes back a long ways, and it still continues till today. So, how I got my first investor, as I've already started to share with you, at work, back in late 2000s, I was real estate investing, but I had a full time job. I mean, it was more than a full time job. I was in the C suite, and so I mean, kind of how I do stuff is I'm all in, right? So what I do, so I'm not really a 9 to 5 type of guy. I'm always thinking about what I'm working on. It has its pros and cons, but so anyways, I was, like, I come into work and people are like, "Well, hey, what have you been up to this weekend?" It's like, "Yeah, so I got this rental property, and I tell stories about it, whether if it was a flip or I got an interesting deal, how I structured it. I mean, back then my deals weren't structured very, they weren't complex or anything like that, but some of them were a little bit different in terms of how did you negotiate that in there, and things like that, and talking stories about tenants and sometimes horror stories, but I was able to laugh about it, whatever. So I just kept on doing that. And it really was not intentional. I was not going into the office on Monday morning, or, after I'd been at one of my rental properties with the hopes to get an investor. That was really not in my vision at that point. I didn't really understand the power of it and the need for it. But I was given my elevator pitch. I was spreading investor seeds everywhere I went. And finally one day, um, this couple. So I worked with her, and she was like, "That sounds really interesting. My husband and I were talking, and we're really interested. Like, we have no idea how to invest in real estate, but wondering, could we partner with you? Like, we've got some savings that we would like to invest in real estate. Could we do that?" And it's like, uh, in my mind, I'm going like, I have no idea, but sure, sounds good. And I was just up front, really straight. I don't know how to do it, but let's figure it out together. And so we did. And so we started working, and you're doing a couple deals, and we bought a duplex together that they qualified for the mortgage. And then I started learning about lease options, rent own, and so I'm giving the real condensed version of here, because I was out there looking for properties. I would send them photos and details and all that sort of stuff. So we like we'd go through stuff, and then I had this idea about doing rent to own, and they're like, yeah, we could do another mortgage. And so, okay, great. So I went out and I structured the whole deal, and they loved it because they didn't have to set foot on the property. Um, they didn't have to deal with the tenants. I was paying them rent every month, even if the tenant was late or not, and it just went like that, and it went very well for me as the rent own provider, and for my investors who secured the property. And I made tremendous cash flow off this property, and they had more than enough money to pay for all their expenses, as well as some cash in their pocket each month, right? So they were super happy. So, I mean, that's really when so much changed for me, because that's when I realized not only the power of investors, but of the rent to own strategy. So I sat back and said, well, this thing is totally duplicatable, right? And my investors were super happy. They were now at a spot where they couldn't get any more mortgages, mostly because they didn't have any more down payment. They could get more mortgages, but they didn't have the cash sitting in the bank that the traditional banks wanted. So, we just kept on talking about deals, and I said to them, actually, they brought up to me and said, we've got some friends we were talking to, and they're interested in investing with you too. And would you be open to that? It's like, yes, of course. And so they introduced me to them, and that couple did another one of these deals just like that. And then I paid the first investor a really nice referral fee, and his eyes got really big. And it's like, wow. And this guy became a referral machine for me. That he kept on. I mean, he knew tons of people, and he would set up breakfast meetings and coffee, and yeah, it just expounded from there. And so got to the point where they started hosting coffee events where they'd invite several couples, like three couples and themselves, and they got me to present my investment strategy, and people could ask questions and all that sort of stuff. And it just took off from there. And so if I was to show you my investors over the years, it would start from kind of one, two individual investors. One was a friend, then it was a family member, and then they just kind of spidered out like that. And they kept on telling other people, and I kept on paying referral fees and closing deals. And so from the time that I didn't know investors existed for me to help me grow exponentially, to today, I mean, my whole world has changed that way because of these investors. And yeah, so it's just a powerful story, the compounding story of compounding investors, right? We hear about compounding interest. If you grew up around the same time I did, you heard that hair commercial, and they told two friends, and they told two friends, and they told two friends, and that's exactly what happened to me. And so it was just people sharing good stories about what I was doing, and their experience with it, and it just kept on blossoming from there. So the takeaway from that is probably two things. One, uh, you got to start with one. You got to focus with one thing, and you gotta give it attention. Water it, give it sunlight, nurture it, feed it, till it grows, till it blossoms, and then from there, you can start expanding that. And that was a turning point for me. I was able to quit my day job after that that first investment couple. With the second investment that I did with them, I quit my day job after that deal, and it just took off from there. So that is my story from the trench for this week, and hope you found some value in that. Take action with it, and yeah. So hey, that's the live for this week. There's a question here at the end. If you got any other questions, I'm totally cool to answer them. So Lena asks, I do have a question. I'm always looking for and finding opportunities, but I'm very nervous about using other people's money, private lending. Okay, that's fair. I don't feel confident enough yet to worry about messing up with other people's money. I have approached family. Oh, Okay, that's little bit longer, but that's great. No worries. Okay, I lost my spot here. Very nervous. Yet not to worry about messing up with OPM. Okay, I have approached family with a pitch that all my profits would go to the kids, grandkids, aka invest with me, and further the family position down the road. Cool, that's a great idea. Unfortunately, my family feels like I'm completely over leveraging myself, and they don't understand what I'm trying to do, and wants nothing to do with it. Okay, it's totally normal, and that's totally okay. I have to respect this, but I don't feel comfortable at this point approaching friends and strangers for financing. No problem. I write this while laying flooring and listening to the call. Right on. Good stuff. Yeah, totally normal. And that's a great spot to be in because you're learning and you're growing. Those are growing pains, right? That's a great pitch for your family too. So here's what I'd recommend, Lena, on that. I'd recommend that you keep doing what you're doing. You've got several deals. You're looking at others in your community, but also outside of your community. That's great. Put together a pro forma. Either a one pager or a seven pager of the deal. And then what you do is, assuming that you're everywhere you go, at your work, at your social functions, if you're having any of these days, all that sort of stuff, you're probably talking about your deals. So do what I recommend about you know dispersing seeds everywhere, but then take your pro forma and take someone that has got business experience or is an investor themselves or someone that maybe you would like to have invest with you, but they're not ready yet. It's totally fine. What you can do is say, "Look, I'm working on a deal, and it may not be a live deal, maybe just a sample, but maybe it's a live deal. It's fine." And you say, "I need a guinea pig. I need practice presenting my investment opportunity." And this is only for guinea pig purposes, right? I'm gonna talk to you like you're a potential investor, but on the outset, I'm not asking you to, right? Let's just put that on the table. I'm not asking you to, and give them that full freedom, and also make up in your mind that you're not asking them, right? Just leave that alone, and just say, "Let me present to you like this is a real deal, and you're an investor who has expressed interest in investing with me, and let me present it." And let me give me feedback, ask me questions, and that's just a great way of getting experience. And what you'll find is you'll get experience with that because ask several people to do this and meet them for coffee or over a Zoom call, whatever, and then do that. So typically, when I talk about my elevator pitch, I'm wanting a coffee. So my coffee meeting with them is I've got a very short slide presentation that I use on my computer or my iPad, and it's really very little text. It's mostly pictures with titles for the three different ways people can invest with me. But then I just tell stories, and if you don't have any stories yet, that's fine. Tell a potential story. But if you do have some stories of a deal that you did, and here's the type of returns that you did, tell that story. And the more you do this, the more confident you'll get, and you'll get an early adopter investor. There's always early adopter investors, and there's always mid adopters, and there's always late adopter investors. Right? A late adopter investor is someone who's asked you questions for years, have never pulled the trigger, then all of a sudden they do it. Right? That's a late adopter. Early adopter is like, yeah, it sounds great. Let's go for it. And but you got to get that experience. And so in our community, in our coaching community, we can do that with each other. I've had students who will get on a Zoom call. They're in different cities, but they'll go back and forth. They'll present to each other and they'll ask hard questions and get that combative experience, but in a friendly environment. But ideally, you want to be doing it in the real world where you're actually talking to a real person who's a potential investor, right? And so that second coffee meeting is that. And so in that, I give real examples, and then I go down the funnel. I won't go into the funnel here again. I keep saying that, but I guess if you keep asking me enough questions, I'll keep going deeper down into the funnel. But That would be my recommendation. I think it's awesome that you've already talked to people in your family, and don't take it personally, and just go, you know what, that's okay, and keep talking with other people and get in front of people with a one pager or whatever performa, um, and present, and eventually you will get an investor. So the quicker you can get through more prospective investors, the quicker you'll get to the one who actually invests with you. So, all right. Well, I've taken up 45 minutes of your time. And yeah, great chatting with you. Great questions. I love the interaction. Thank you. Keep the interaction going. This video will remain in this group, real estate investing, the RTO real estate investing group, as well as it gets posted to my Creative Investor YouTube channel. So awesome. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.